to excel.
Working at it, yep.
And
thanks to you, man. I mean, this, not to be kissing your butt on your own video, but I mean, a lot of people.
Let's run this part. Make sure that we got
put this in the
3
beginning.
minutes. All right, keep
put
going.
This in the beginning.
Yo, Tim Bratz here. Welcome to the next episode of Spill the Beans. Today I got my boy Paul Vincent. We're sitting down at a local coffee shop here in Cleveland, Ohio, and he just got back from vacation, was hanging out at the my beach house down in Charleston with his family. He's a rock star. He's a member of my mastermind. I've done a ton of business with him, and just an amazing human. He's a real estate attorney, business attorney, estate planning attorney, understands SEC compliance and laws very well, and just as great of a business person as he is, he's even a better human being, and you guys are going to get a ton of value from my conversation with him. So I hope you love this. Give me some comments below of some big takeaways that you have throughout the conversation. Give me a like. Please share it with somebody if you get a ton of value. I know somebody else will get a lot of value out of it too. And then make sure you're subscribed and hit the notifications bell so you can get updated on all the new episodes of Spill the Beans as we release them on a weekly basis. So appreciate you. Hope you enjoy the episode. Paul Vincent, how you doing, brother?
Very good.
Cheers.
Cheers. Happy coffee.
Happy coffee. Dude, so essentially just met you as you walked in as I was recording another one of these things.
Yes, just strangers off the street. It pays off.
I like this guy's shirt. We should interview him. No.
That's right.
No, dude, it's always good to have you, man, and excited to sit down, talk some shop with you.
Yeah.
And you got a good tan going?
I got
came back
tan,
from Charleston?
I did, yes. I was in a beach house, a baller's beach house, and had a lot of fun. And it's the most tiring 2 weeks of the year, though, because that's how kids work.
Yeah, so. Dude, it was, you were out there for a little bit.
Yeah, it was sweet.
All right, so, hey, let's start out with that. Let's talk about, you're an attorney. You got your law degree. You're big hot shot, big hourly wager, right?
Yeah, big time.
And so how have you been able to build your business to a point where you're not trading your time for money?
Sure.
And doing the legal side of things, and instead you can go on vacation with your family for the next 2 weeks,
yep.
and not have to worry about the office and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so when we first started our law firm, we had a huge client that we did a ton of transactional foreclosure work. So they bought tax liens. We serviced, between 500 and 1,000 tax liens, all like over a period of a year or two when you first started opening up. And when you do that sort of thing, it comes with a bunch of phone calls and a bunch of court time and a bunch of basically in-office stuff. So since then, we're like, hey, what can we do to make it so we can have more time with our kids? We can never miss a school event, and we don't have to worry about going to court.
When you say we, it's you and your brother.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yep, I own a law firm with my brother. So basically from there, we needed to figure out how do we find bigger tickets that we don't have to be obligated to go somewhere else. Like when you're at the court, they set your schedule. You don't have any say. So anyway. From that point, we started figuring out like, hey, what can we do that can be more of a mobile setup? And then from there, we just started figuring out, and we started learning more about real estate. And whenever you're talking real estate, you're talking about ways to make life a little simpler and ways to leverage your time and ways to, get more freedom and do videos during the middle of the week.
That's it.
So yeah, that's basically it. So we, and from there, we've found a bunch of great things happen. We met this guy, kind of the same setup. Like, how do we learn more, build better relationships with real estate folks, or doing stuff that we want to do? And from there, it just steamrolls. So it's basically just been about momentum and snowballing and stuff like that.
So from I think the first thing you're saying is like awareness, right?
Yeah. Right.
A lot of people think, hey, I go to work, I get a job,
yep.
and I trade my time for money for the next 40 years. I have to save up enough money in order to then retire on
for sure.
a certain amount of money and the interest off of that money, right?
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the case. I think as a lot of us, we get into something and we say, hey, I'm an exec, or I'm a solo practitioner in whatever this field is,
yep.
and say, hey, I don't want to do this all the time, right? I want to actually go and have some lifestyle with it. And how do you do that? So I think having that awareness is a big key initially. And then start asking yourself, that leads you down the path of questions where you're like, all right, well, what else can I do? All right, I don't want to work with the court system because then I'm on their schedule instead of my own schedule. So let's eliminate that, which I think is a big, a lot of people think, oh, I need to add things to my business in order to then be able to go and have my time free. I think eliminating a lot of things is just as big of a piece, if not a bigger piece of that equation. So you guys did that. You guys eliminated the stuff that kept you on somebody else's timetable, and then you started adding things in that allowed you time freedom and mobility,
Absolutely.
right, to go and do some stuff. So
yeah, and you mentioned a little bit about awareness, and we wouldn't have known that stuff if we didn't focus on, all right, so going forward, how do we become more aware about opportunity? And the reason we started finding out more about real estate is because we had this opportunity. It was like, I'd never even heard about tax lien foreclosures. I didn't know what a tax lien was. And it opened our eyes to be like, hey, there's all these weird mechanisms in real estate to make different types of money, passive money, active money. And then we just started, like, when you decide, hey, I need to find out what's out there, you start building your network and you start meeting people. Like, you don't have any perspective until you meet someone that's doing what you think is interesting. So that's kind of what led me to meet you. You were doing this apartment stuff. You're about to have your first event. I probably saw you advertising about it. I'm like, hey, what's this guy do? And then I found out about multifamily investing and like value add and what the hell's that? And then you asked me like, hey, can you help me with a private placement? I said, I don't know what that is. And then we connected.
But you still said yes.
Yeah, no, I was like, dude, I don't know what that is, but I'll figure it out for you. And then we found somebody that did it, but that was it.
A trait of resourcefulness.
Yeah, right.
That.
It's like, you gotta be curious. You gotta be interested in like what else is out there and how can I make my situation better. And it doesn't necessarily mean you got to make more money. It's just got to be like, what do you find most helpful, most important to you, and just be resourceful and try to figure it out. So,
what's it like working with family?
So for me, it's great. I mean, my brother and I have, my whole family has been very close forever. We always vacation together. So it's been easy. I mean, we don't argue. We're not really competitive. It may just be because I'm the asshole and he just decided I'm the asshole.
He deals with you.
So he puts up with it. So it's probably more he deals with it better than I do. But no, it's been great. I mean, we're so fortunate. We get to share the wins. We get to have someone to commiserate with. Yeah. Because it's hard. You know what it's like. I mean, you need someone to be down with, to be up with, because otherwise it's really lonely. So we've been blessed. Our parents obligated us to be together all the time, like whether we wanted to or not, which is what I do for my own kids. And we've just been close. We've shared a bedroom for, since we were probably 3 or 4. So it's not any different. It wasn't a change. When I became a lawyer, he decided he wanted to do that. So yeah, it's been great.
You know what's interesting is like, I shared a room with both my siblings. They're older than me though. Like my one brother's 5 years older, the other one's 7 years older. We shared a room, the 3 of us. Yep. Everybody. I think today, who was talking to about this the other day? Everybody thinks like each kid needs their own bedroom. That was not the case growing up, right? Yeah. Like there were 3 boys in one friggin' bedroom in a 3-bed, 1.5 bath house when I was growing up. Yeah. And then my sister, who was 2.5 years younger than me, had her own room, right? Yeah. And one of my good buddies and mentor of mine, business partner, like him and his brother, he's 50, so he's about 15 years older than me. He and his brother had to share a bed until they were 18. Not only a room, but they shared the same bed.
Really close, yeah.
He was like, dude, we got super close, right? Yeah. And they're business partners, and they like it doesn't matter what happens, like they got each other's back. And I think that's pretty, just pretty cool, right? And it's something that I don't know. I hope people don't lose sight of that. And I actually write my kids letters, not as often as I want to, but I try to sit down and I like write my daughter a letter, right? Like so nice. Last week or whatever, 2 weeks ago, whenever her last day of school was, I wrote her a letter. I was like, here's all the things that you learned when we were living in Charleston, during your kindergarten year, and how amazing of a big sister you are, and how you learned how to swim and ride your bike and read and write and all these amazing accomplishments this year, and cast a fishing rod and paddleboard and all that stuff. And like, I try to give her some life lessons. And one of those is like, I hope you're always tight, right, with your kid, with your brother. And you two are the only 2 in the world that have the same blood running through your veins, and that's not something you can just go and find out there. Yeah. And so like, you're always taking care of him. I know that there's gonna be a time where he's taking care of you, and I hope you guys always realize that that's like more important than anything else that could go awry, whether you guys go separate ways in politics or business or life or whatever. Like living separate, like you guys got to make sure that you're always staying super, super tight. And I mean, they're boy and girl, so I don't have them in the same room. But I think if I had, like 2 boys, 2 girls, or whatever, I would have them in the same room, sharing a room, because I think it creates a tighter bond.
Yeah, we have 3 kids. We have 3 kids and 3 bedrooms, but they all are in the same bedroom. So they just wanted to. My daughter really likes like having them in the room, so for security for her. But Yeah, they love it. So they're always together, and that's kind of.
She's the oldest, right?
Yeah, she's the oldest.
So she's kind of like the mama bear too.
She orders them. They do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
But we, like in my family growing up, we were always a tribe. We always suffered through each other's baseball games or basketball games. So like, it's just something, it's just part of business. Part of the household business that you guys are always going to be around, and then they'll always be used to it. So at least that's the idea.
No, I think that's cool, man. Like I know, actually Jed was asking me. He's like, out of anybody in the Mastermind, like if something happened to you, who would you give your kids to? And I, like without hesitation, I was like, Paul Vincent.
Yeah,
dude, like you guys have the right values. You guys do the right things, and although you're having successes, you're staying very grounded, and I think that's really, really important. One of the biggest personal things that I'm going through right now is like as we're having more success, and we got this beautiful beach house, right? We got this ridiculous mountain house. I'm buying a friggin' island. Like I need to make sure that my kids realize this is not normal, right? This is not real life. Like we are extremely blessed. We have an amazing opportunity and influence, and we got to do the right things with that first of all, and secondly, like 99.99% of people don't have these opportunities, and there's a reason we have them, right? It's because we've sacrificed a lot of things. Dad has sacrificed a lot of things, and dude, I remember growing up, like my parents weren't crazy wealthy, but like upper middle class, right? Yeah. And he had his own business. My dad, I remember him getting phone calls on Christmas morning and having to go into his business because people would no call, no show, and he'd have to go and fill in. And he's made a lot of sacrifices. And I remember internalizing. I remember going to, he had a personnel security business. So I remember like driving to some of the factories and foundries and, hood apartment buildings and being like, oh, hey, this is where you live if you spend all your money, right? If you make all your money and then you spend all your money, or you spend more than what you make, these are the kind of places that you live in. Like I was like, oh, I don't want to live there, right? And I remember like, I grew up in a blue collar area, and so I thought I was a little bit like entitled because my parents were kind of upper middle class. I remember my mom, dude, she smacked some fucking sense into me, and she's like, you didn't do a damn thing to earn this, right? Your dad sacrificed a lot of things to earn this. You didn't do anything. You're just along for the ride, boy. And I was like, yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important just to be conscious of that, though. Like, that'll make a huge difference. So you and Kate will decide, like, how do we make sure they know that there are people that have it worse? So you'll, like, take them, like, we try to get our daughter to go to feed folks or do whatever. And, like, just being mindful of that. And that, my wife and I talk about it all the time, is, like, obviously there's no perfect way of raising kids, right? You just got to do the best you can. But just being mindful of it, of, like, how do I make sure that these kids don't think everybody buys islands, right?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna think about it, and they won't. Your kids don't give a shit about that stuff anyway. They're like, how often is Dad writing me letters or showing up, at my school events or at my, Taekwondo practice and stuff? Like that's the stuff that at least in my humble opinion, that's the stuff
that's what they remember.
And I never miss the stupid Halloween stuff at school. I don't, and I make sure to go to all that stuff. My brother does the same thing, and time is really all. At least I think that's all that kids really care about is pay attention.
I read an awesome book. My buddy Brian Scrone wrote it. He goes, "What matters most?" Actually, I got to get you a copy of it, dude. And so it's what matters most, and it's creating that awareness of what actually matters. And he has a quote in there. He says, "The greatest indicator of your priorities is where you spend your time." Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of us say, "Hey, family first, right? Family's the most important. It's why I work so hard in my business." And if you look at how you're spending your time and how much time you're spending on business instead of with your family, you realize business is the priority.
Yeah, for sure.
Or work is the priority and not the family.
Right.
And it's inconsistent with what you're saying, right, of how you're spending your time, and realizing that if you judge your priorities based on how you spend your time, dude, like, where does family fall, right? Where does your faith fall? Where does your spirituality fall? Where does yourself fall, right? And, like, where are you prioritizing your own self-health and your own, personal time and mindset and all that kind of different stuff? Like, where are you spending that time? And I think it's a great question to offer some perspective on what are you doing, right?
And I think that ties back to, like, point of view and like perspective and everything else. Like if you're not networking and meeting people, like you'll never learn about a book, or you'll never. So I think it all kind of goes back to that. Like I wouldn't have thought about that book unless he just told me about it. And so you gotta, if for nothing else out of this rambling message here, just like meet strangers. If you meet strangers, I just met a guy back there that's like learning Spanish, and it reminded me like, hey, I need to start learning Spanish, and I'm gonna learn that with my daughter, and because I really want her to learn, and if we do it together. But I wouldn't have done that if I didn't talk to the stranger back there with headphones on, where he probably didn't want to talk to me, but we did anyway. So yeah, that's really good. And that's the thing too, is like, and worry about yourself. Like, don't worry about everybody else. So like, if you want to be like Tim, like, don't worry about how Tim got there. Worry about how you can, because I know that I skip a lot of work hours because I want to go to the school stuff. But I'm also okay with like, I don't have an island yet. I bet I do someday, but I don't have one yet. But I'm not worried like trying to keep up with the Joneses, which is a big, dude, that's a really important piece. Like, man, keeping up with the Joneses is probably the worst thing you can do. It'll drive unhappiness, and you're never going to get there because you also have some misconception about what it takes to get there. It's not what you imagine. It's way harder. There is certainly some luck along the way. Sometimes people don't get those breaks.
Dude, you don't know what the earlier chapters of somebody else's life looks like, right? Sure. Like, you can't. I can't compare myself to Grant Cardone.
Yeah, sure.
Right. The dude's friggin' 60 years old, right? I'm 35. So guess what? He's been around the block a little bit longer, right? Had different life experiences, maybe, like, just has a different perspective on some certain things, or had different opportunities in certain things, right?
And like at 60, you may not own an island anymore. Maybe in 10 years from now, you're like, I just want to be with the family, and we're going to be at our beach house, and that's it,
Right.
But now, like, one thing is, you hear a lot of stuff on the internet, but one of the most important things I think is like, figure out your happiness. If you're focused on that, I mean, everything else will kind of fall into place.
Yeah, so, I agree, man.
And like true happiness, not like, this is what somebody else thinks I'm happy. Like, I think they think, and even stuff that's, I mean, my kids are by far not perfect, and I'm a okay dad, but like, I'm just always trying to figure out like, how do I do this more? And hopefully I figure it out before they're grown-ups. But
yeah. Well, I think probably one of the most important things you can do as a parent is just emulate and live the life.
Right.
Dude, be the dad that you hope your kids look up to, right? Like the hero that your kids think they are, or like, what's that? I want to be the person that my dog thinks I am, right?
That's right, super excited.
Like just the most amazing, remarkable individual ever.
That's a good one.
Like, I need to live up to that, right? And I need to be the hero that my kids think I am. And I never want to be incongruent with that. And at the same time, like, just emulate. They're not going to do what you tell them to do. They're going to do what they see you doing.
Right.
And if they see you working hard, putting family first, and a lot of that kind of stuff, then I think they're going to emulate that. It's going to be a value that then is instilled in them from a young age. Right.
And I think one tough thing, though, as a parent, for me at least, has been like, how am I not their friend? I need to be their parent first and their friend probably later, And I've always been impressed with my own parents, because now we're very close. We talk almost every day. We go on vacations together and stuff. And like, but I was always so scared of my mom. Like, if we did something wrong and she started coming, it was like, oh shit, here she goes, So like that's and there's no perfect way of doing it, but it's just like, you got to make sure that you're, doing the parenting part first, and you're not their best friend, because we're not best friends, They're your kids, and
I mean, it's your job to make sure they're a good human being.
Yes.
And sometimes there's a lot of tough love that comes with that.
For sure.
And dude, you got a beautiful little girl, and I got a beautiful little girl too. And I remember there were some times where like I was given tough love, and then all of a sudden she'll start crying and be like, "Why are you being mean to me?" I'm like, "Oh my God, dude."
Yeah.
You feel like such a no.
I'm supposed to do this. I'm not an asshole. Like, don't internalize this forever. It's just,
like I'm trying to, because I know the reason why I'm doing it, but she doesn't understand the reason why I'm disciplining, right?
Yeah.
And why are you being mean? Why don't you do like? I'm like, oh man, I got to do a better job at explaining why we're doing.
Totally, I'm
things,
impatient, and I mostly just bark. And
I'm the same way.
And then if they do it, that's where I stop. But that's another thing. Like, that's an easy thing to do. Is like, you got to explain more. I'm not good at that. So
but here's the thing, dude. Like, it makes me feel. Just knowing that we're having the conversation, and we're trying, that we give a shit, dude,
Giving
is
a shit
big
is really
deal.
mostly everything.
It's most of it, right?
And not many people do.
Most of it is just giving a shit, and if you give a shit enough, dude, you'll make at least a half-hearted effort, and
I spend a lot of time on the phone with people that just don't give a shit. I'm like, why are you doing this? You seem super unhappy.
Yeah.
You couldn't be grumpier. And I'm a stranger. You think you like put on the, talk to somebody the first time, you'd like really try. But man, there's so many people that don't give a shit. So rule number one, give a shit, and that'll get you pretty far.
About anything, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Business, family, your health, like any of those things. Friends, friendships, right?
If you want to like date people, like give a shit. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah. No, it's fascinating. Well, I'm glad we kind of went down on that tangent because I got a lot of respect for what you got going on with the family side of things, man. You got a beautiful family.
Yeah, I'm very, very lucky. And didn't have a lot to do with it. Some to do with it, but yeah, we just try to do the best we can.
So make a little bit of a divergence over to the business side. So tell me about how you guys have continued to kind of scale your business. So you and your brother are two of the best networkers I know, and you guys understand the value in a network and understand the value in just having conversations. How have you kind of built that muscle of talking to strangers and talking to people you don't know and them saying, hey, dude, let me put my headphones back in because I want to talk to this clown. Yeah, right? Like, I don't know. How do you get over that?
It probably is like because we grew up in a really small town. So like if you wanted to do stuff, you gotta like move up the ladder, right? So that's probably it. And like my dad's a sales guy. We're just generally, I would think people think we're generally just kind of like happier people. So that makes it easy to approach someone. But the muscle just takes a ton of practice.
He emulated what you guys are good at, right?
So it's just a lot of practice, just like anything, like running or basketball or anything. Like it takes a lot of practice to be able to walk up to a guy with headphones on and ask him what he's doing. So, but you're not going to do it unless you do at bats, So like I went after, I reached out to you. You happen to probably scroll down and see some stranger reach out on the many contacts, and it just happened to work out. So. But I couldn't have done that without that bat, right? I wouldn't be here today if I wouldn't have just shot a message and then hoped to hear back from somebody.
Yeah.
So you need
a numbers game, dude.
It's a numbers game, absolutely. And for me, it's like I feel like it feels a little bit con man-y too, but it's like I can tell people that I want to like get to that rung, right? So like you had a speaker, his name's Patrick Riddle. You can tell he does a lot of interesting internet stuff, and I'm like, I need to know more about that.
Yeah.
So what do? I go up to that guy, and we set up a call, and it's not. Giving a shit is really it. When you give a shit, then you do that next thing, and then the thing usually happens. Sometimes it doesn't, and then you can't be pissed. You just move to the next.
What's important, or what's we're using baseball as an analogy here, but like, what's important to understand is in baseball, if you get up to bat and you hit 300, right?
Really good.
They're paying you $4 million a year,
right?
And that means you're out
and
7 times out of 10.
Yep.
That means you're out 7 times out of 10, and they're still paying you $4 million a year, right? Yep. So like, all you need is a small percentage of success.
Yeah, for sure.
And that can lead to huge opportunities moving forward. So like, you put that in perspective, and you're like, dude, I don't need to hit a home run every single time. I don't even need a base hit every single time. I don't need to get on base I just need 3 out of 10.
Yep.
Right? 3 out of 10, your odds are like exponential, right? So how many times do you swing the bat? How many at-bats do you have? And the more times you can give yourself an at-bat, the better.
Yeah, no, and that's why, for me, networking wins everything, right? Like, even your skills, all that stuff, your skills will improve with how your network kind of evolves. So like, we're trying to get a little book together about that. It's just to help people early on, because I really only started focusing on like improving my network with like intent, probably in my like early 30s. So like, but if I would have started that, because some schmuck would have written a book about it that I actually had access to as like a 16-year-old and their 18-year-old, even in my little town, I'm sure there are dozens of people that I could have met with that could have improved my lot right then as like a teenager, let alone, down the road. But if you improve your networking skills, you can meet all sorts of different types, and you'll get different perspectives. So for me, I wish I would have known earlier, because I would have learned about X sooner. I could have done different, maybe I wouldn't even have been a lawyer, who knows. But if you don't have those at-bats and get to see what's out there, then it's unlikely you're going to like do what you really are meant to do. So.
And it kind of brings it full circle with the kid conversation we had before, but like, think about early on in life, we're told don't talk to strangers.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't talk to other people. Don't talk to people that you don't know.
Right.
And we're instilled that from such a young age.
Yep.
And there's a level of fear that's instilled in us if we are going to go talk to strangers.
Yeah, it brings a lot of anxiety.
Dude, what does that look like when you're grown up?
Yep.
You're programmed to not go talk to people and not go network.
Yep.
And that's why people probably aren't further ahead in life, right?
And the only people that really do that are people that are in like sales, and it's part of the job, but it's not like
they're forced to do it.
Yeah, they're not like doing it to
It's a very
improve
uncomfortable thing.
Like when I grew up, there weren't like self-improvement books. That wasn't like a thing, right? Not until I was like old did I find out like, hey, look at this whole industry of like, do this, not like get rich quick sort of thing, but just like improve yourself, parenting
Well,
stuff.
before it was seen as like, they called it self-help. That was the self-help side.
Right.
That means if you need help, that means you're probably fucked
you're
up.
probably sick.
Right?
Yeah, right.
That means there's probably
You're
something wrong with you.
You're a sad person.
And people took these personal development books
Yep.
and categorized them as like, there's something wrong with you if you need this.
You are failing.
Right?
Yeah.
And dude, I know people who are just like, oh, I'm not into self-help stuff. I'm like, dude, it's not it's personal development.
Yep.
Personal growth.
Yeah,
it's mindset improvement, right? It's not self-help. And I think reframing it and understanding that.
Yeah.
And then
But like the same people that are offended by like the genre's name, are the people that aren't going to read it anyway. You know? So it's like, you have to be open to that sort of stuff, and that takes practice too. I mean, it's weird to go to like for me, I joined your mastermind. I'd never done something like that, so it's like what kind of circle jerk is this thing? It's like you go and you're like, oh, there's like a real product.
There's a bunch of people sitting in a circle. Master wedding? What? What do you mean?
Right. Are you sure that's what it's called?
No, man.
I'm all for it. Yeah, and I get to pay for it.
Yeah. You got disappointed when you showed
up.
Yeah,
that's right. So like, it does take a mindset, and that muscle doesn't come out of the gate. You have to like learn that stuff. So like, don't talk to strangers. Actually, you should talk to strangers because it will do better.
Should, dude. Strangers have everything you could ever want. Yeah, right. A stranger has the private money that you're looking for. A stranger has the deal flow that you're looking for. A stranger might want to pay you to consult with them. A stranger might be your new best friend. You might go on vacations. Like, dude, talk to strangers, right? I understand. Like, how do you convey that into your kids? Like, actually, tell me, how do you talk to your kids and say, hey, like, strangers are okay,
my kids see me out
but
all
still
the time.
keeping them safe.
My kids see me all the time talking to that guy, right? The guy with the headphones on, or like being super nice to the people up front and like finding out how their day is going. Like, I just try to be conscious, and that's just like, that's me. That's not me trying to like instill in them something. That's just something that, is what I've learned over the past several years.
Having conversations with people you don't know, and letting the kids see it.
One, if you're nice too, like you get all sorts of benefits. All I do is try to focus on being nice to people, and it usually works out pretty well. So if you do that, if you focus on being nice to every opportunity you can, something good will come out of it.
How have you taken your ability to network and just amplified it with social media? How has social media helped you expand your ability to network?
Yeah, well, it's just, you can have so many conversations at once that you used to only be able to have come in here or like go into their office or do it. Now you can network with people. So I have this like URL that it's like, if somebody wants to connect with me, it's dealdiscussions.com. You click the link and it'll have my calendar up, and they can just set it up. So you can, network.
For a phone call.
Yeah, for just like a Zoom or whatever we want to do. But yeah, and then you're just able to spread your message, or like, I could go on the internet today and say, hey, met with a guy I networked, several years ago, and now I'm going to be on his video that's going to be spread to like thousands of people for free, and hopefully you get some good content out of it. But like, it would take so long to tell those people that just 5 years ago. Now you can say it. So branding wise, like you can be part of a whole new industry that you couldn't before. So it's exponentially helped us, and we can focus on, we're trying to only do big ticket stuff like private placement things. So, now I can meet strangers with the internet from Seattle, Washington tomorrow morning. That, 10 years ago, your block of network is usually within some square miles of where you live. Now it's all
and
over
on
the
a
world.
one-to-one basis,
right?
Like, social media has expanded geographically, and the amount of output you have too, because it's not one-to-one, it's one-to-many. And there's people who you're networking with, even though you don't realize that you're networking
building
with them
relationships
because they're
with people
watching
all
you.
day. Yeah, so like I'm sure you see it way more than I do, but I'll still be out at like events and stuff, and people will be like, "Hey, thanks for putting X out."
I think they're respectful enough about it, though. We're like, dude, hey, we're Facebook friends. Nobody's like, what do you mean you don't know me? Because I watched your videos for the past 2 years.
Right.
Like, I think they're pretty respectful and being like, dude, it's just great to finally meet you in person.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's definitely flattering. It feels good.
Nice.
And there's almost like a sense of obligation to continue to make an impact, right?
For sure.
To continue to help people out with their business or their life, or create additional content to improve others' lot,
Well, that's why you like put stuff out there. You hope somebody gets something out of it, right? And it's like for today's video, I hope someone finds out. It's like, well, I could just like meet people and it could change my life like forever. Like, yes, absolutely. Like, go out there and try to meet someone that you, whether it's some guy at a coffee shop or someone that your parents know that you think does something interesting. Just get started early. The sooner the better. And that goes for everything. That goes with investing money. That goes with building your network. That goes with education. Like, the sooner you get started.
And realizing that there's somebody out there who's doing what you want to do or can at least help accelerate getting you to where you want to be. I think before you're like, well, who's in my network? Nobody's in my network. Well, dude, it's that easy to go and just follow somebody.
You have access to everyone.
Right,
pretty much.
right. And then just reach out to them and send them a friend request or give them a follow on Instagram or subscribe to their YouTube channel. And it's like, it's not difficult to then have those positive influences in your life. Even if you're in the middle of nowhere, Wisconsin, right? And you're like, oh, well, what am I going to do? Like, there's nobody in my, and I'm using Wisconsin, like this could be in the middle of nowhere, Ohio or South Carolina, right? Like I'm not saying that. Right. But like, I just think you could be in the middle of nowhere and think, oh, I'm from a small town in Ohio, and there's nobody here who can I can surround myself with. Like, there's limitless amounts of content.
That was true, but it is no longer true.
Right.
And like the sooner you realize that, I mean, you could take off. There are so many millionaires at 20 years old, right? And all they do is use the internet.
How do you get somebody's attention? How do you get somebody's attention that has a big following? How do you get somebody's attention that like you want to connect with, but who are you? You're noise in the ether, right? Like how do you attract their attention in a way that like, oh wait, this is somebody who's worth, not saying people aren't worth it, right? I'm saying like somebody who is willing to put in the work.
How can you have someone that you like discriminate between, figure out to talk to you than somebody else?
Right. And how do you differentiate yourself, and how do you show yourself as somebody who's like, hey, I want to give this homeless person money, but I don't know if they're going to use it to go buy drugs or if they're going to use it to go buy a shaving kit, right? Like, I want to make sure that I reply to people who are willing to put in the time, put in the work, and if they're going to take me away from my business or take me away from my family, I want to make sure it's worthwhile, and there's going to be a ripple effect of them doing amazing things and influencing other people too, right? Like how do you convey that when you're reaching out to somebody who might have a massive following and you're just one of 1,000 people who reaches out to them? How do you differentiate yourself?
Yeah, I would say figure out how you can be the most valuable. So if it's somebody like, let's say, like for me, Tim had a bazillion people already that liked him. He already had lawyers and stuff. So like for me, I was like, hey, how do I figure it out? And the opportunity was he needed to do something legally that he didn't really understand how to do, and his team didn't know how to do, and neither did I. But my only job was, hey, figure out and help me figure it out. So you have to find something that could be valuable to that person. And some people are unreachable, right? So if I go, and I'm trying to connect with some, multi-billionaire, Warren Buffett, for example, it's unlikely I'm going to wiggle myself into figuring out how to get him part of my network. But like somebody that's a few rungs up, you just got to figure out how to find that value and do that. Maybe you don't know what it is, but it's going to take some time. One thing I think most, especially young people, need to figure out, and I'm always working on, is like patience. Patience is like, if you can figure that out and you understand, like I have probably 45 more years of working, I hope, ahead of me, because I don't want to retire at 60 or whatever. I want to do something productive until I'm in my late 80s. So like, you have to understand though, like if I want Tim Bratz to be part of my network, I gotta get at bats, and then I have to figure out the value, and then I have to continue that and just do it. And also you're probably gonna need a little luck, because it does involve some of that. But you have to differentiate yourself by being of value for something.
Well, I think I'll give you an example. Something that I pay attention to is who's liking and commenting on my content.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Who's subscribing, who's following, who's liking, who's commenting. They don't have to, whatever, go above and beyond.
They don't have to push.
If they're engaging, guess what? All of a sudden their name pops up, and it pops up again, and then all of a sudden when they send me a message, I'm like, oh, I kind of remember this person because they're engaged that much, right? And that's something that is of value to people who are trying to create content out there on social media. Guess what? It helps if we have more engagement. It helps if we have more likes and comments and rocket ships and pictures and like that.
And now it's even easier. Like you could go to your TikTok account and just people could just stitch your stuff, right, and say something in response. And like, there's not that many people doing that these days. A lot of people don't share the Facebook post and add something to it. They, maybe they thumbs it up. You're going to be one of hundreds that thumbs it up. If you want to differentiate yourself, share it. Say something helpful. Yeah. Cheers the guy that put it out for free and is just trying to add value to your life, and like, you will stand out.
That's a good point, because you get hundreds of people who just give it a like. You'll get dozens of people who give it a comment, and you'll get a handful of people that actually share it.
Dude, if you're Mr. Mr. and Mrs. Share, like you're gonna.
That's a great point.
You're gonna raise up, especially on the other social. Like there's Facebook is where both you and I probably do it. Get as much play on that as anywhere, but like TikTok. You're still growing, so there's plenty of opportunity there. Instagram, same deal. So like go to these platforms and follow these people that you look up to, and got to get those at bats. But you're not going to do it by, sending them a message and then just being like, hey, I want to do what you do. Like that's, everybody wants to do what he does. Don't do that. That's not productive. So.
I think when you try to be somebody that you're not, dude, I think you're going to fail 100% of the time. Yep. Be your own voice. Be your own genuine voice. Don't be somebody you're not. Don't go and cuss nonstop. If you're not somebody who cusses nonstop, don't go and try to be Gary Vee or Grant Cardone or be like aggressive and in your face. Like, dude, that's just not my vibe.
Yep.
My vibe is more chill, relaxed, wearing a bunch of like beach clothes and paddleboarding clothes and hanging out at a coffee shop and shooting the shit and not being worried about me cussing and offending somebody, right? And at the same time, I'm not the guy who just goes around and cusses either. But like, I don't know, dude, it's my vibe, right? And I think that authenticity then comes off more versus trying to be somebody that you're not.
Yep.
And I think you get spun out, and I think then you're living a lie, right? And so it's got to be people see right through that, right?
It's got to be so tired. And people, and it translates too. Like if you're not who you are, just ordering coffee, you're not going to be that person on the internet. It's not going to be that good.
Yeah.
Like don't fake it. It's not cool.
And I know some people who do fake it, and it's just, dude, they're just tired all the time, right? And it doesn't translate, and they're not getting the stickiness or the influence that they want. And I'm like, dude, that's because you're not just being authentic, right? You're lying about your numbers. You're lying about who you are. You're lying about what your lifestyle is. You're posting pictures of you on vacation when you're hanging out in Cleveland, Ohio, or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude.
I know.
So like, dude, just don't do that shit. Just be a little bit more authentic on.
And who are you worried about?
Exactly.
That's the thing, is you got to find your happiness, because if you're worried about other people believing you're happy, you are not happy.
And I'll give you an example. All right, so I got 4,800 doors, right? And that's cool, and you're like, oh, well, I can't influence people or I can't help other people because I don't have 4,800 doors, right? I got 60 doors. Guess what? You'll have an easier time connecting with people.
Dude, for sure. People are like, I can own 60 doors. Shit, this clown owns 60 doors?
That's quantifiable. Sure. That's something I can wrap my head around. Like, and dude, I think being new and being raw and being open and being honest about some of that stuff and saying, hey, there's some of the struggles. Here's what I found out about. Dude, Jennings Smith does a great job. My first $1 million in multifamily, right? Like, if I did it, I'd do my first $1 billion in multifamily. But I neglect a lot of people because, or I'd miss the target quite a bit because it's hard for a lot of people to quantify, right? So I think he's doing an amazing job. He's grown to 12, 15,000 people in his Facebook group just over the course of the past I don't know.
And he's
12 months
authentic. Like he's the same dude you'll meet at the at your event as he is on the internet. He's not he's not trying to impress upon anybody.
Him and Yaden, right? Our business partners. And I should give Yaden the props because Yaden's actually a Mastermind member and Jennings is along for the ride.
Yes,
I'm not going to throw him under the bus anyway.
Yeah, we won't tell him. This will be edited out.
This is it. So no, but like just good, genuine dudes and showing their progress, and that's more relatable than too far out of reach kind of these business gurus or whatever. Dude, so like my following today is maybe a little bit different than it was early on, right? Sure. It was a lot of now it's like, all right, hey, I got 100 doors. Now who do I go talk to? All right, let me go talk to Bratz, right? But it's hard for me to connect or for other people to like see like how do I get started, dude? And so I'm actually working on that, of like trying to go back to the roots, trying to go back to like my first rental property and trying to
yeah, that's good.
share some more content
Well,
around
you
that.
talked a lot about like.
But I guess the point is, real quick, the point is like, don't think because you don't have a certain level of credibility that you can't like help other people,
No, for
right?
sure, right.
But sorry.
Yep.
But
No, I was
you
just
said-
going to say, like you talked a couple times about get out there and just do a 4 unit, a 6 unit, a 20 unit. Like everything
Shit, yeah.
doesn't have to be 100 plus unit or whatever. You'll learn a lot. I think the most important thing is just decide that's what you want to do and then start talking to people to help you get there.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I could attest to is that I own a few apartments. There's no way I do it on my own. Like I have no interest in owning a ton of it, so I have to deal with the concrete contractors and all that other stuff. Like try to find your team, try to find people you think you'll work really well with, and that'll accelerate you a lot faster. And
Yeah,
plus
man.
you can latch on. You know.
I mean, staying in your your zone, right? Staying in like, what are you good at? What do you like doing? What kind of value can you add?
Sure.
And the more value you can add and more you can focus in that aspect, guess what, dude? You're going to create more and more value. It's like almost becoming niche. And the more niche you get, the more rich you get, right?
Yep.
Like meaning the more sought out you are. If you are a general practitioner physician, you'll make good money, right? You'll be able to have a good quality of life. But if like you're the best oncologist in Ohio or the best, I don't know, eye surgeon in Florida, guess what? Like that's a very niche type thing where people are going to seek you out and pay you top dollar.
And you only have to work about 20 hours a week.
Exactly, and you're going to have better, right? And just because you're more niche, there's enough of a population out there where you don't have to be the shotgun, attract everybody and do all sales. And like, dude, you can be very, very niche. Like, dude, I'm apartment buildings, right? I'm B-class workforce apartment buildings. That's what I teach people. And I have an amazing tribe of people that connect with me and follow with me. And I'm able to go out and do limitless number of deals and not even scratch the surface of how much opportunity is out there. You know?
And that was your last mastermind. For me, the best takeaway was like, you don't need 50,000 people to help. You don't need 10,000. This is kind of like Ronco. You don't need 100, but you just need like a tribe that's strong, and you can do really great things. You know, like some people are always trying to go out of their backyard to find deals or whatever in real estate. It's like if you live in some major market, like just focus on that market. You can find stuff if you focus on that one market. You know, you can obviously go anywhere and do real estate with partners or whatever, but I think more people need to focus on where they live, and they'll, you can be the expert at that. You can be the person that gets called to be the boots on the ground or whatever it is, and that's a great way to get started.
Acres of diamonds in your own backyard. Or like, let's say you're in an area where you don't want to own rental real estate because it's an uphill battle with municipalities,
tough
tenants,
judges,
all that stuff. Well, guess what? Like, there's people in California who hit me up all the time. Like, is it right to buy in California? Dude, if you know the area, I know there's some great areas that you can buy in California. If you can navigate those laws, and if you don't want to, or if you think it's going to be too difficult, it probably is going to be too difficult because you're thinking it, right? Or if you think it's easy, it's going to be easy. But guess what? There's a lot of other opportunities in California. How many people have money in California? I don't know. Friggin' everybody has money in California, right? Or at least
relative to Cleveland.
Exactly. So like there's people with $1 million of equity in their homes and they're selling and they got a bunch of cash, or you can take out a line of credit, and guess what? You can go and raise capital in California. There's other ways to contribute to a deal other than being the operator. And dude, the operator's friggin' drag, man. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
You got a team, you got to have these weekly calls with your manager and all. Yeah,
dude, I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't have the team in place. If something ever happened to Carlin or my operations, asset management, dude, I would not be doing that. I'd be only raising money or only sourcing deals or
signing a loan.
Signing the loans, right? We talked about that,
Dude,
just sponsoring other people's loans and not having to worry about any of the day-to-day stuff. Obviously, if you're doing those things, you still want to be aware of it.
Yeah, you need to check in, but you do not need to employ the people that are talking to the people that are talking to the people. That's not fun. You don't need you need an office for that, and that's not fun.
No, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So, all right, dude, tell me, you guys just got into your first deal. Actually, did your second one close yet? Your second apartment?
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
We're getting there.
Knock on wood?
Yeah.
We all know how it always gets dragged out.
Yep.
So what does the next 24 to 36 months look like for you and your brother? Like, what are you guys What's on the horizon?
So, yeah.
What are you seeing in the market? What do you want to do versus
Yep.
what do you not want to be doing?
Yeah, so we're focused on trying to find bank relationships on kind of default props. So this property we're picking up in Peoria, Illinois is through a bank servicer. So that's a company that basically steps in the shoes of the bank that took it back through foreclosure.
Do you think there's going to be a lot of that over the next few years?
I think so. Yeah, and I mean, just because I think people are going to default. I think people are overpaying now.
Who shouldn't be in the business?
Yeah, they shouldn't be in the business. It's hard. It's not simple. You do need to pay attention. So I think there'll just be opportunities in that. And even if it's not an exorbitant amount, I don't need a lot. I just need one deal every 6 months or so. So for the next 36 months, we want to get strategic. We'd like to buy probably more B plus, B stuff rather than the big heavy value add construction, just because the appetite, I think, when the market turns a little bit, the appetite for banks, I think, will be less excited to buy into those kind of value add properties. So that's that on the real estate side. The other stuff we're trying to do, like I said, we're doing a book. It's just like we mentioned before.
About the networking aspects?
People, trying to teach people to talk to strangers because that will improve your lot. Well, do some education stuff. So I'm just keep plugging away. Wow.
Love it, dude. Love it. I think you guys have a lot of good things in the works, and you know what's cool is just like watching everybody, especially in our mastermind, right?
Yeah.
Like just grow and elevate. And like Patrick Riddle was a good buddy of mine. Well, he was like a mentor of mine early on in my career, and watching him as he's grown, he's like, dude, he's a nationally recognized marketer. And
he had those YouTube or the ClickFunnels records like show up. He had like 8 of them at once or something crazy.
Dude,
like 2 comma clubs. I was like, not many people do that.
Exactly. And he's like, it's been amazing watching him. And I think of like, and through him I met a guy named Trevor Mauch, and Trevor Mauch was just trying to figure things out. And now he's got Carrot, right?
Yeah.
And Carrot.com is like the go-to done-for-you website for any real estate investor in the country, and he's turned down offers that are multiple 8 figures for his business over the past few years. And just watching everybody kind of elevate and realize that it's we can all overestimate what we can accomplish in 12 months. We grossly underestimate what can happen in the next 24, 36, 60 months down the road, and how business can amplify and compound, and what we can all do if we just keep our head down, right? And we stay focused, and we know we're in an industry that has longevity, right? It's not like real estate's an experiment. There's a lot of opportunity here, and I think it's really, really cool watching people who are very intentional about their network, and very intentional about their circles, intentional about where they want to go, and intentional about balancing or creating harmony with their family and their personal life and their health and all those things too. So it's no, man, it's exciting to see you, and exciting to watch things continue to elevate and continue to excel.
Working at it, yep.
And
thanks to you, man. I mean, this, not to be kissing your butt on your own video, but I mean, a lot of people.
Let's run this part. Make sure that we got
put this in the
3
beginning.
minutes. All right, keep going.
This in the beginning. No, but I spent time at your house. It's very inspiring stuff. So keep it up. Everybody's benefiting, and it's all from that abundance mentality, right?
Yeah.
Whatever, you have that one saying about the sunshine, and you taking other sunshine doesn't keep it from other people. Like, it really is. This place is huge. So if you focus on trying to figure out how to improve the life of your own little tribe, you can do really well. It doesn't need to be everybody on earth, just a good handful of people that you want to help. So
love it, dude. Well, dude, I appreciate you.
Cheers, buddy.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me on.
And I'll see you next time in Cleveland.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
That's right.
Go connect with this guy. He's got a lot of good stuff going on. So
Thanks,
appreciate
buddy.
you, brother.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Great conversation with this guy. I always have good talks with him. Very philosophical, right? It always comes around talking about life and family more so than business, because that's what it's all about, right? That's what actually matters. So I hope you got a ton of value. Hope you follow Paul. He's got a lot of good stuff going on, and is always generating value on his social media pages. So we'll put his contact information below. And then give me one of your biggest takeaways. Comment below, give me a like. Please subscribe, hit the notifications bell so we can keep you posted on all the new episodes of Spill the Beans. And if this is something that you got some great insights from, please share it, and feel free to share it on social media, and email it out to your team and anybody else who might get some good value out of this. So until next time, I appreciate you. Go and be your best.